The House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, under fire from Democrats after joking that it will be hard not to hit Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, with the gavel if he becomes Speaker after the 2022 midterm elections.
I'll make this one promise to you. If we win the majority, which I know we're going to, you're all invited. If you come to this court, but more importantly, I want you to watch Nancy Pelosi hand me that gavel. Not to hit her with it, but I will bang it down.
So join me now, CNN political commentators Ana Navarro and Alice Stewart. Good evening to both of you.
Hi, Don.
Alice, I'm going to start with you. McCarthy's office is dismissing the complaints. His spokesman said that he was obviously joking. What do you think about this, all of this, Alice?
If it was a joke, it wasn't very funny. It was a stupid comment. It was very poorly said, and unfortunately, the people in the audience laughed about it. And I do think he owes Speaker Pelosi an apology. But as for calls for him to step down and resign, I think that is completely unnecessary. Look, the rivalry between Pelosi and McCarthy has heated up recently. As you've mentioned, she called him a moron last week, and he is going after her in a private fundraiser in a situation where he thought he was speaking off the record with supporters. Look, here's the situation. Nancy Pelosi is a Speaker of the House. She is a powerful person. She is the third in line to be president. She happens to be a woman. So calls that a lot of Democrats have said that he is going after her because she is a woman or violence against women. This is a political rival making a political statement against someone that he wants to take out of her current position because he wants to be the next speaker. And I think it's nothing more than that. Democrats are already trying to raise money off of it, but I think it is just another step in the ongoing battle between Pelosi and McCarthy.
And I want you to weigh in, but let me just tell you what Pelosi's Deputy Chief of Staff, Drew Hamill, tweeted. It says, a threat of violence to someone who was a target of the January 6th assassination attempt from your fellow Trump supporters is irresponsible and disgusting. And look, we've heard recordings and accounts from rioters threatening violence and even death on Speaker Pelosi. I'm not sure why he would even make this joke. I mean, he lived through the insurrection.
Apparently he's forgotten that. Look, Don, I do think it was a lame-ass attempt at humor. And really, if anybody wants to go see a middle-aged white guy try to be funny, there's plenty of Billy Crystal and Steve Martin movies that you can rent on demand. This guy, the most offensive part about it to me is his butchering humor. But, you know, yes, Nancy Pelosi called him a moron last week as she was going into her private car and it got caught by a hot mic. And it was not a threat of violence. This was a threat of violence. A stupid, stupid thing for him to say in midst of the days that we've lived and the things that we've seen in the last 6 months since January 6th. Frankly, if they were both in kindergarten, the teacher would put them both in timeout. And I think that the American people should expect better from their highest level of elected leaders. That being said, I'm having a hard time getting outraged by McCarthy's stupidity and lack of ability to make a good joke, because I'm really pissed off at McCarthy whitewashing the January 6th commission and pretending that it didn't happen and saying he didn't even have the time to listen to the testimony of the 4 officers as we learn about more officers committing suicide, more of the officers who responded to January 6th committing suicide. And I'm really pissed off that I'm sitting in Miami-Dade, one of the counties that is leading in new COVID hospitalizations, while McCarthy has allowed most of the Republican conference to make a mockery of vaccinations and wearing masks. And while he has been going to Fox News, to outlets that have promoted not getting vaccinated and promoted misinformation. There are 17 children, 5 minutes from my house at Nicholas Children's Hospital. 6 of them are in the ICU. And so I'm really angry at his lack of leadership, at his irresponsibility, at his exploitation of COVID and vaccinations for political purposes. And so, yes, so forgive me that today I can't get angry about his idiocy with the attempt for this joke, because there's much, much more horrible things that are happening, which he has been complicit in.
Alice, do you want to respond to that?
Look, I think I agree with Anna on a lot of that with regard to Kevin McCarthy is completely wrong to go along with the big lie that the results of the election were flawed. He is completely wrong to not participate in the investigation that Speaker Pelosi and others are putting forth. And he's also completely wrong to be complicit with a lot of the comments and statements and the former president's really his role in inciting the insurrection. That being said, he is laser focused on job number one for Republicans, and that is to win back the House and help the Senate win back in the midterm elections. And in order to do so, he is going to continue to feed red meat to the base, and he is going to provide what they appear to be supporting, which is the former president and the big lie, because he wants to get back the seats in the House, and he wants to be the speaker.
Alice, can I jump in here? Let me ask
Sure.
you. So, listen, I think you bring up a very good point. He's doing what he thinks the job is, right? What he has to get accomplished, which is become the Speaker of the House and make Republicans the majority. But do you think that's the way to do it? Do you think that they want to, especially in light of a fourth officer we're hearing who was part of the insurrection committing suicide? Do you think that's the right way to do it, what he's doing?
First of all, news of that today was heartbreaking, and news of any of the deaths as a result of January 6th are heartbreaking and could have been avoided if we didn't have the insurrection in the first place. And look, in my view, the best way to go about winning back the House, in my view, is to focus on the policies and get away from the personalities and the false statements of the personality of the previous president. The Republican Party's best move forward and best path forward is to get back to traditional policies of the party, bring back the suburban white voters that we lost due to the last president, and keep on the MAGA Republicans, and also bring on the traditional Republicans. That's the path forward. But right now, what we're seeing with the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, the best way to move forward is the MAGA way. But we need to expand the tent.
I got to get Anna in. Quickly, Anna, go ahead, please.
Empowered. The MAGA wing that Kevin McCarthy has empowered, and at the rate that Kevin McCarthy and his cronies are going, they're going to kill their followers, okay? If they continue with this misinformation campaign and looking the other way as people who support them continue exploiting COVID. And so if they want to call every Democrat that's briefing a socialist and use that as a wedge issue, fine. But don't play around with people's lives. And that's what he's doing with the January 6th Commission. That's what he's doing, what the Republican Conference is doing with the response to COVID and vaccination.
Listen, Alice, I think a lot of people agree with you, at least on the part about bringing back traditional Republicans and conservatives. That would certainly be a breath of fresh air for the country. I'm sure Anna can agree with that as well, since she is a traditional conservative.
There are a lot of us still out there.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Impeached again. Really? Will there be any consequences for former president pressuring the DOJ to call a free and fair election corrupt? That's ahead. And that's next, I should say. And ahead, Simone Biles getting ready for a comeback, competing just hours from now.